Hello everyone, this is Badger, going to give you some general modding strategies for your teams where you don't have to necessarily rely on super fast speed mods to create effective teams. One example I just finished making a video on and we'll be posting it here shortly is Grandmaster Yoda. If you look at his kit, and if you watch my video, you will see that he gets a lot of turn meter from his kit. Characters like this don't necessarily need super high speed mods, and they can function really well in specific teams. Like for example, you put Grandmaster Yoda with Jedi Knight Revan. Grandmaster Yoda gets a lot of turn meter boost from his kit. Jedi Knight Revan can pass over bonus turns to him, and then that just makes him go even faster. Characters like this can help you if you're struggling to create a lot of high tier speed mods. I personally only have like 2 mods that's classified in the 25 plus speed category. I probably could have more if I did more slicing and spent more crystals on it. Even spent money on it, obviously, but I'm not the type of person that spends money on games usually. But that being said, what you want to do is look at the kits of particular teams, and I'm going to go over here and I'm just going to give you an example of one particular team, the Padme team. Now, under the Padme team that I was using, I had Padme, Ahsoka Tano Snips, General Kenobi, Jedi Knight Anakin, and C-3PO. That's still is, and probably is currently the strongest team that I had, a Padme team that you can create. It definitely was at the time when I was using it as a Darth Revan counter. I personally would classify it as a soft counter because you generally would get down to having Jedi Knight Anakin and Padme and one other character alive, and you had to basically try to get healing immunity on Darth Malak, in order for it to work. And you still had to have enough offense to take out Darth Malak. Now, with that being said, the general strategy behind taking on a Darth Revan team with Malak, with the Padme team, was to basically have a slow Padme. And the idea behind this is to let Darth Revan and his team get the debuffs out there, and then Padme would cleanse all those debuffs and get you and basically heal the team back up. So I'm just giving you guys some ideas and suggestions here of what to kind of look for. Not necessarily telling you what characters or what teams you need to be looking at to, put your slower mods on, but just giving you general ideas. Another example of that is the Sarah Junda team that recently came out. If you look at her kit, in the kit it says that at the start of the battle, for every attack that they receive from the enemy before one of your teammates take a turn, you get so much stat boost. Basically, the more attacks that you receive before you ever take your first turn, you're going to be stronger. So there's another team that doesn't necessarily need a lot of speed. General Skywalker. I know a lot of people out there will say, oh, you have to have the fastest General Skywalker in order to get that daze and armor shred out there. On the contrary, my General Skywalker is focused on protection and offense. It has decent speed, but it's focused on survivability and offense. And I've never had a problem with him beating another General Skywalker 501st team. So these are just kind of examples. So what you want to be looking for, and I'm sure you're wondering, well, what do we look for in order to find these characters? You need to be looking at the kits. You want to go into the characters' kits, and you want to be asking yourself this: what in this kit can I utilize that will allow me to give me an edge without the use of speed? So like General Skywalker, for example, if you look in his kit, he has a very high counter chance. Now for some reason some teams can kind of dampen down his ability to counter, but without going into that, he gets a lot of counter attacks. So you can up his offense, up his survivability, and just sit back and let him counterattack your opponent, and basically let your opponent just basically decimate themselves. That is kind of what you're looking for in kits. You're looking for the things that don't require speed, but gives you survivability and or offense, so that you can overcome the lower speed deficits. So like for example, you have two characters coming up against each other, and there's no debuffs that's gonna mess up your character or anything. If your character can dish out a high enough offense, you can possibly make up the fact of him having a higher speed. Because in all reality, a higher speed does not equate to that many turns in a battle, one-on-one character comparison. So all you gotta do is have enough offense to make up for that loss of one or two attacks, or if it's a super fast character, maybe 3 or 4. So hope this is giving people kind of some ideas. And it's also kind of cool if you find a character that has a leadership that allows you to do this. And then you can kind of build a team around them that doesn't necessarily need a lot of speed. Some ideas is Sarah Junda, for example. General Skywalker, albeit it is preferable to have your 501st clones that have some decent to good speed on them, because they do a lot. Padme is another character, and you can go on down the list. Another thing you can do, possibly, if you don't have a lot of speed mods, is to look for characters that have a leadership ability that gives you a speed boost. So like for example, Jedi Knight Revan gives the team a speed boost. Or at least himself. I use these characters so much I forget sometimes all the details of them without looking at them. So right here you can see gain +5 speed for each Jedi in Old Republic allies. So you can have a lower speed on him and still have a viable team that you can take and go up and counter certain teams with, without having to have the crazy speed that some of these whales like to convince everybody that you need. For example, like Darth Revan. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about how you got to have the fastest Darth Revan and the fastest Bastila Shan to counter another Darth Revan squad. But here's the thing: if you're using that Darth Revan squad to like counter to attack a different team other than Darth Revan, and you'd have a gas team with the 501st, and use that to take out their Darth Revan, you don't have to have the crazy speeds in Darth Revan. You just need them fast enough to be able to get those debuffs out on whatever team you're coming up against, and you just mow it down. You know, you could be going up against, you know, some kind of Galactic Republic team, or a Jedi team, or, you know, a Mon Mothma team, you know, something other than a Darth Revan. So there's another way that you don't have to have a lot of crazy speed. So to kind of recap, you need to look at the kits. Number one thing, look at the kits, look at the team you're trying to create, and see if there is some way that you can exploit the kits that does not require speed, that will give you an edge over everyone else. Because when people focus on speed, you are sacrificing in other areas. Just like Grandmaster Yoda. When I focus on special offense, I have to put certain mods on that have those high stats, and in return, I have to take lower stats on the other remaining secondaries, which, you know, can mean that I have a lower speed. Just like when you focus highly on speed, that means your other secondary stats are going to be a little bit lower. So, look at the kits, try to find something to exploit that does not require a lot of speed but gives you an edge. The second thing is look for a leader that has some kind of leadership or unique that gives the team a speed boost, or a turn meter train boost, or if you've seen my Darth Vader video, he has a turn meter removal ability that kind of creates a kind of a negative turn meter train on the enemy, but helps your side out. That's some ideas. And then lastly, consider taking that team up against other teams that people aren't necessarily using it against. So for example, take your Darth Revan team up against a Galactic Republic Jedi Rebel team where you don't have to have those crazy speeds on it. Hope that helps everyone, especially the beginner, intermediate players. Helps give you an idea what to look for without having a 5-hour long video explaining some of the details. And I hope this kind of helps everyone to think outside the box and listen a little bit less to the monologues coming from whales who have all the money to spend on everything and can create the perfect mods, whereas people like me who don't want to spend the money on a game like this don't have perfect mods and have to do with what we have. And I hope this helps those people out here that's in the same boat as I am, where we don't have crazy speed mod like the whales do, but still want to enjoy the game and have fun doing it. So with that being said, if you're enjoying these videos, please like, subscribe, and share. I really could use support in the number of subscribers, trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, and get enough viewership so I can keep doing this. Wish everyone the best and hope this has helped everyone.